Hey everyone, welcome to Crime Talk with Meg, where we talk about crime stuff and court stuff and stuff. I don't know. Glad you're here though. I appreciate your support. If you're new, please hit the subscribe button. Or if you're over from Meg's Crime Watch and haven't hit the subscribe button yet, I'm just getting this started, so I appreciate you helping me out in that regard. I just wanted you to notice that I have worn my toilet paper earrings to help with the show we're about to talk about. So let's get into it. The past couple months, I all but forgotten about Laura Owens. The debacle that was the year-long fake paternity action that she had against the former bachelor Clayton Echard. Just poof, out of my mind, like forgot it existed. I mean, a judgment was entered. Laura's attorney is off sailing the seven seas. Clayton's probably relaxing for the first time after like over a year of stress and anxiety. The Maricopa County attorney, I think she is, has an investigator looking into criminal charges against Lowe. Greg Woodnick is probably writing his acceptance speech for... Do attorneys have awards? Everyone has awards. Everybody gets a trophy these days, right? There's got to be some attorney awards. Whatever it is, they deserve like to sweep them for what they did in this case, for what they survived in this case, the motions they had to read and respond to in this case. They deserve all the awards, plus some. If they don't get an award, I'll make them an award. And finally, above all else, I would assume Laura Owens was laying low, licking her wounds, figuring out how not to get arrested, because that would be the logical thing to do, right? I mean, that's what a normal person would do. A normal family would encourage you to do that and really, work on helping you do that after what we saw in court. With it hitting the news everywhere, a rational, sane, self-preserving, moderately successful businesswoman with a stable family support would just do that, right? Yeah, not the Owens family. Nah, that's not for them. Nope, they're gonna go full-blown shit show. Blow it up. Burn it to the ground. Since the hearing, Lowe... See, when I type things out or make notes, I put L-O for Laura Owens, so in my head, I started calling her Lowe because I got sick of saying her name. So you'll have to excuse me. I know that's not a common name for her, but it's working for me. She's been on Medium, and Medium has become her personal BFF, like PJs and wine therapy session. Let me vent to you and tell you all my problems. Venting and ranting her every emotion to Medium. She's hurling insults, name-calling, anti-Semitic comments, and it's all fueled by this desperate need to control the narrative. I would think that there would be enough brain cells amongst the members of that family left to realize that they got their asses handed to them in court. Like, you lost all the motions, you were practically humiliated when it was shown how much you lied and that you faked this and that there's a major issue. And if I was in that situation and that was a family member of mine, I would be moving heaven and earth to get that person the help that they needed to fix whatever problem caused them to do this. Sorry, I'm getting alerts on my phone down here and it's distracting. Go away. Go away. But that's not what's happening. No, they have taken to social media to support her and are imploding their own reputations in the process. I just... It blows my mind. On that note, let me take a moment to say thank you to today's sponsor, Rose Forever. Apparently, Laura Owens thought she could get a rose from Clayton by, lying and manipulating and extorting him into being with her. You know what I say to that? I'll buy my own roses. That's why I called up my friends at Rose Forever. And they sent me my first package. Ready? I'm really excited because I haven't seen these in person. So these roses last for a year. They offer 12 different rose shades and 10 different hat box options, so the possibilities are absolutely endless. Oh. Oh, look at the nice velvet box. Pretty. No. Dogs are happy. Oh, wow. Look at this. Do you see it? Is it pretty? You want roses? Everybody wants roses. How gorgeous is this? Yeah? Oh, and they smell like roses. All that work for one rose that would die in a week? Yeah. I think my way is better. On her website, Laura describes herself as a testament to versatility and passion in a multifaceted career, not defined by just one role. She excels as a podcast host, public speaker, advocate, and equestrian expert. Her journey is marked by a commitment to excellence and a drive to empower others. A combination of that resonates in every project she undertakes. Yet, Laura Michelle Owens has never excelled as a podcast host. They hit mediocre at best. Public speaker, one TEDx talk that was based off of lies. Advocate, yeah, you can't fake DV and then say you're advocating for it. And you really haven't done any advocate work other than like one podcast. I haven't seen any like successful work. Just because you say you support something doesn't mean you're an advocate for it. Advocate means you put in like sweat equity to make something happen for that cause. An equestrian expert. Yeah. Yeah. In fact, if you really look at it, her commitment to excellence has failed catastrophically. The only headlines she's made are those she's written herself, and the only articles she's been featured in have been under the shadow of those she's wronged or her legendary father, who she's working hard to destroy that legacy as we speak. But to give her credit, she has definitely empowered others in a way I have rarely seen before, albeit against her, rather than for one of her faux causes. So, who is Laura Michelle Owens and how did she ignite the internet against her? Let's take a little look. A little look at the family history here. Ronald Lowenstein was born in 1945 in New York to German immigrants Stanley Lowenstein and Maud Frank, who was later known as Monica Owens. Much more Cali. Ronald changed his name also as he embarked on a career in talk radio, where he would see resounding success in the San Francisco market. This is where he met and married Jan Black, who was a fellow talk show host, formerly known as Elizabeth Naylor from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Ron and Jan had 2 daughters. First, Elizabeth Sarah, who would go on to marry and provide them with a grandchild, and moved to New York, opposite side of the country. And then Laura Michelle in May of 1990. Not much is known about Laura's childhood, but from the research I did, there is a lot going on socially for her pseudo-celebrity parents. There's also the fact that once Jan's radio career fizzled, she didn't have another lucrative career. That can kind of mess with a person. And there's reports by Laura herself that her father had a long-running gambling addiction. That can cause issues. We know the family didn't invest wisely as it relates to their real estate transactions. For more on that, see what Big Tiff Dog uncovered on the Who's Your Daddy stream, which you can find in the Owens v. Echard playlist on my channel. Despite what Laura claimed to Clayton in their initial encounters about having plenty of money to cover purchases of investment properties, not long after, she was posting online and lending forums looking for advice on how to purchase investment properties with no down payment. It's kind of risky and not traditional. So Laura seems to be well educated. She went to St. Ignatius College Prep, a Catholic school in the Jesuit tradition, located within the Archdiocese of San Francisco, with an annual tuition of $33,000. That's in today's money, you know, it was a few years back that she went. SI, as it's known locally, accommodates approximately 1,500 students, grades 9 through 12, with quite diverse backgrounds. I find it interesting that the Owens chose to send their daughter to a Catholic school when Ron spent so much time in the 80s doing lectures on his Jewish culture and heritage. His grandparents immigrated from Germany in the early 1900s. Let's not forget, Ron was born Ronald Lowenstein. After graduating, Laura headed to Penn State, where she obtained a Bachelor's of Science degree in Organizational Leadership. I never completely understood that degree. Like, do you want to be a manager at the Cube store? You like sorting spreadsheets and being the boss? Like, yes, I know, you don't need to tell me in the comments what it really means. I like the idea of going to school to be a manager at the Cube store. I love the Cube store. I love organizational bins and stuffs. Almost as much as I love toilet paper earrings. I love funky earrings. At some point in time, Lo decided she could sing. She was a performer. She was a star. And recorded a couple dozen country and pop country songs. When that flopped, instead of adulting, you know, growing up and getting a real job, Laura and her mother decided to start a horse farm. Flipping horses. Kind of like flipping houses, but instead of painting and replacing the trim, you train the horse and make them act nice long enough to sell them for a ridiculous amount of money. They actually store some of their spare horses over here in Florida, you know, right up the street in Ocala. It's like horse farm country. Like, everybody's got a horse. You got to have a horse to live there. I don't know. So Laura also competed in horse jumping competitions. There's some name for it. I don't know. Another one of those things I don't understand. Like, poor animals. But that would end up getting her in trouble when a video surfaced of her at an event, sans Prego Belly, just days after she was in court, looking like she had a beach ball under her sweater. That brings us up to around 2014 when Laura met Matt. Now, I am not in any way saying this is a comprehensive timeline. There were many rumors of lies and manipulations and outright frauds by Lo during college and even high school. However, without proof of this, I can't go into it, and I'm not going to. Also, the records pertaining to Matt are sealed, and he has no desire to rehash the past. I don't blame him. I'd want the hell out of that shit show. We do know from Greg Woodnick's statement in a motion in the Clayton Echard case that Lo faked a pregnancy during their relationship, and there may have been fraudulent medical documents in that case as well. After that, in March of 2016, Lo met Mike Maricini, poor guy, through an online dating app that matches people based on their LinkedIn profiles. I don't know that I've ever been so business oriented that I wanted to match someone based off of my jobs. Although that would be kind of cool. What if you put in that you worked at like 10 different pet stores and then did the match? That would work. That'd be fun. Okay, anyways. So Mike was in real estate, and Laura was interested in real estate, so, you know, somehow it worked. But the problem is Mike didn't want like super close, lovey-lovey relationship. He wanted, just casual. He didn't recognize her as his girlfriend to other people. He didn't announce it on his Facebook page, and she was very upset with that, caused some tension. She reacted kind of harshly. Numerous psychiatric professionals, numerous professionals that have degrees in mental health have reviewed this case and have commented off the record that Lowe has exhibited traits of BPD, which is borderline personality disorder. Now, in that profession, it is generally frowned upon to diagnose someone without physically interacting with and examining them, which makes complete sense. We also saw this become an issue in the Johnny Depp case when Amber Heard's attorney was trying to diagnose Johnny Depp without ever having spoken with him. Which is why I am in no way suggesting that Lowe has BPD, just that some of her behavior models some BPD traits, and understanding BPD helped me understand some of her extreme actions, and then it made everything make sense a little bit more. So borderline personality disorder is a mental illness that severely impacts a person's ability to manage their emotions. This loss of emotional control can increase impulsivity, and it affects how a person can feel about themselves. As a result, it has a negative impact on their relationship with others. People with BPD also tend to view things in extremes, such as super good or super bad, and their interests and values can change quickly. They act impulsively or recklessly. They generally take efforts to avoid real or perceived abandonment. Such a major component of BPD is abandonment. So they often plunge headfirst into relationships, like as soon as they start, just all in. And you're like, whoa, 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 we just met. And they're like, but I love you with all my heart. That's a red flag, people. Write that one down. Take a note. They also can end them just as quick and walk away with no problem. Many of us have seen this. People with BPD show a pattern of intense and unstable relationships with family and friends, loved ones. It kind of mimics what we just talked about. They have a distorted or unstable self-image or sense of self, and that kind of fuels a lot of their actions, which are impulsive and often dangerous behaviors related to spending sprees, gambling, unsafe sexual behaviors, substance misuse, reckless driving, binge eating. However, those behaviors mostly only happen during times of elevated mood, and they could also be symptoms of a mood disorder like bipolar and have nothing to do with BPD. People with BPD also have low moods that can result in self-harming behavior like cutting, reoccurring thoughts of unaliving behavior, or using those threats to get what they want. Their moods are intense and highly variable, and the episodes can last from a few hours to a few days before they swing back and forth or come back to, normal. They generally have chronic feelings of emptiness, which is what fuels that attachment, that need to have that someone else there constantly giving them attention and reassuring them and making them feel like they're important in some way. And in that regard, negative attention is still attention. It doesn't matter that it's negative. It's someone is paying attention to me, so there's something there. People with BPD often have inappropriate and intense anger and trouble controlling their anger, which makes them lash out and say things and then later regret them, like when you post huge long rants online and then an hour later you calm down and read it and say, oh shit, I should not have posted that, and you delete. While there are no medications that can cure BPD, there are some that can help treat certain symptoms. The most effective treatment, though, is DBT or CBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy. DBT was developed specifically for people with BPD. I know, tons of acronyms. DBT is an amazing therapy, and it uses concepts of mindfulness or awareness of one's present situation or emotional state. And it teaches skills to help people manage intense emotions and reduce self-destructive behaviors and improve relationships. It's a matter of stepping back out of your situation and saying, okay, my emotional self is telling me this, but if I use my brain, it's telling me this. I call it my wise mind. And I need to be a combination of the two. I need to find a happy medium between the two. I need to be wise about my decision. I need to take into account my emotions, but I need to not go to either of those two extremes. There's a hell of a lot more to it than that, but using that approach is very successful, and DBT therapy is beneficial for lots of different people for lots of different reasons. I highly suggest it. Oh, was that confusing? Hold on, do you want me to get Penny so she can explain? Okay.
To help us out, Penny explains. We all know sometimes dogs are smart as a whip and other times they're dumb as a box of rocks. Reddit might explain it like I'm 5, but here at Meg's Crime Watch, we explain it like a dog.
I know there's a good chance Mom is going to leave the house when she gets her bra out. She only gets her bra out when she talks to people on the computer. She only gets her bra out when she talks to people on the TV or she leaves us. So I start to feel scared, so I hide under the bed until I see if she gets her shoes too. If she doesn't put her shoes on, it's okay. But if she gets her shoes, emergency, code red, all hands on deck. I round the troops and we run to the door to stop her. I bark and cry and whimper. Sometimes I even jump up on her and bite her shirt. Ziggy does too. He barks. He barks louder than me. We don't want her to leave. She might not ever come back. Like that one time, she was gone forever. What will I do without her? I can't get food out of the fridge myself. I'm too scared to go out the doggy door. I can't fill up my water fountain. And the bones are too high on the counter. No, Mama, no, you can't leave us. But then Lola saves the day when she knocks the plants off the counter and makes a big mess. Mom is mad, but she is staying to clean it up. Sometimes you have to do bad things to get the attention we need and to keep from being alone and scared. Okay, Penny, I'm not sure that was exactly helpful. But while we're on this subject, another tactic commonly used by people with BPD during their highly emotional states is gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of emotional abuse. It is emotional abuse. It is a very damaging form of emotional abuse. And it's when someone tells you something is true that you know is not. And they tell you it so many times that you start to question your own sanity. You start to wonder if you misremembered somehow, because that has to be possible, because they told you that they did not leave the house, but you saw them leave the house last night when you were in bed. But they swear they didn't leave the house, and you don't have evidence to show one way or another, and they are adamant. And it happens so much, you start to question yourself. And when they do it over and over again, you start to feel like you're crazy. Like, why do I always misremember these things? That this other person is telling me all these things, and I'm remembering them differently. Am I losing my mind? Am I going crazy? It's a real freaking thing, and it happens a lot. And it's very common for people with BPD to utilize this tactic to help undermine the person's self-confidence and weaken their ability to function. It makes them more vulnerable and then more easily manipulated and controlled by others. Trying to convince someone that you're pregnant with their child, creating false medical documents to support this, is a form of gaslighting. And according to Mike Maricini, this is the type of abuse he suffered from just months after meeting Laura Owens until over a year later when he finally was able to break away. This resulted in damage. These relationships do damage. And I just want to note before I move on, that as a society, we don't generally recognize emotional abuse as damage. I will forever stand firmly on my belief that broken bones can heal, but verbal abuse does permanent damage. That whole sticks and stones thing, yeah, it was the opposite of that. Somebody got that backwards. Anyways, through the course of their relationship between Lo and Mike, she claimed she was pregnant more than once. This would happen when Mike would start to pull away from the relationship, and she would get this sense that she was losing him. So she would knock the plant off the shelf and exploit his kind heart and pull him back in. To deal with the fake pregnancies, she would have the fake abortions. But to draw it out longer, the abortions would fail, which I'm pretty sure is a very rare thing, but she seems to have very rare things happen to her. The whole family does. Reportedly, throughout the whole ordeal with Mike, Lo claimed to have 3 different medical abortions, which is taking some form of medication to terminate the pregnancy, 3 surgical abortions, which commonly known as a DNC. I have to actually go into the hospital and have something done. And there's a great post on Reddit that goes through everything that happened with individual events highlighted. It's very interesting. There's a link in the Padlet timeline for that, as well as everything else that I will put in the description. It's eye-opening if you go through it because it gives you a different perspective on what Mike Maricchini actually went through. And it helps you understand how traumatic it actually was. In addition to the pregnancy debacle, Lo also claimed to have multiple different illnesses and conditions, including ovarian cancer, which led to a removal of her ovary, which was later proven to be false, even though she had a statement from a doctor. But for the record, Laura Owens denies the authenticity of these documents. They were fabricated by Mike or Greg. I don't know. Greg hacked her computer, but these came from Mike's laptop. It came from a laptop that Mike found in his closet that he hadn't used since about the time that they were together, that he was going to throw out, but he didn't. And he hadn't opened it, hadn't done anything. And he contacted Dave Neal, I believe, who crowdsourced the funding to have it forensically examined. And it was. And a significant amount of data was pulled off of it related to their conversations, their text messages and emails back and forth, and it captured the documents and the photos that were sent, which included all of these assertions related to the pregnancies, related to the surgery, the ovarian cancer, all these things. There's proof that these things were sent to Mike. Also seen within text messages that were submitted as part of the original restraining order against Mike, where she got her parents involved, sending messages to Mike, begging him to give her another chance to prevent her from having another self-harm episode. Why not take her to a facility? They just left her at home and said, hey, you go take care of it. You that doesn't want anything to do with her anymore, you go take care of it. Tell her whatever you have to tell her today, and we'll help you get out of it tomorrow. That sounds a lot like date me for 1 week, and then you'll be okay. Like, I kind of wonder what would happen after that 1 week. Because when tomorrow came, he didn't get out of it. I wonder if she, clones her parents' phones and sends those messages. It's like she believes she has this magical power to suck them back in, and she just needs that minute amount of time with them. If they just focus on her for just a minute, she could fix it. But that's not how this works. It's like anything to avoid the abandonment, anything to get them back in. Towards the end, the following year, when she was losing Mike for sure, fortune rained down on her when an automobile accident happened and she was in the back seat of an Uber.
For $15, all you have to do is hit one button and you have a car willing to take you on Uber wherever you want to go. $15. It's a damn geographical oddity. $15 will get you anywhere in this city, no matter where you want to go.
She was injured to some extent. The text messages extracted from the iOS data on Mike's laptop indicate that this may have been the source of her concussions, because it appears that she had her first and only seizure a couple days later. It also could have been the multiple nosedives off the back of a horse, where she ate grass. Lowe would later say that neither of those things caused the TBI. Car accident? No, I was fine. Like multiple headers into the ground? No, I was fine. Instead, it was the vicious beating she took from Mike Maricini and the multiple times he strangled her. Then why did you keep begging him to come back? Begging, begging, begging. Pretty much extorting. Blackmailing. Recently, on one of her Medium articles, she put up a photo of her with, dark circles under her eyes and marks on her face, which looks like she ate dirt. But she said that this was from when, Mike was violent with her and put her in the hospital, which garnered a little bit of sympathy until someone analyzed the metadata on the photo and was able to determine that it was the same photo that she sent to Mike from a hospital, where she said that she was about to get one of the 6 abortion procedures done. I'd be willing to bet if you lined up those dates with the horse riding events, those would probably line up as well, but that's my own personal opinion. So, going back to the domestic violence she claimed with Mike Maricini, there is not a shred of evidence anywhere other than her assertions that it happened after the relationship ended. Nothing during, no photos, no text back and forth mentioning it, nothing. At some point, it seems like she realized that she couldn't win and she had enough. Before I go there, I should explain something. Part of the personality disorders that we're discussing, there's like a honeymoon period. Think way back to when you were young and you had like this new relationship. Your hormones would go all kinds of crazy. You get butterflies in your stomach. It was like the newness. Everything was new and fun and exciting. Oh, it's the first time we went to the grocery store together. Oh, it's the first time we went to the beach together. Everything was, oh, And then after a while, it was like, we gotta go to the grocery store. All right. It wears off. Those feelings fade for most people, and you become comfortable. And it's not that you don't care for that person anymore. It's that newness, that excitement, that little tinge of unknown, like, I don't know, wonder wears off, and it just becomes comfortable and good and okay. But for people with BPD and other personality disorders, they thrive off of that excitement, that adrenaline, that thrill, which is why they engage in risky behaviors. So when that feeling starts to wear off and things start to get comfortable and they're not new and exciting anymore, that's when those people disengage. And at this point, they either just hard stop, walk away, and just forget you exist because their emotions just turn off, or they do a 180 because they did care and they have to make themselves stop caring. So to stop caring, you have to turn that positive emotion into a negative one, which is anger. And this is what Lo did to Mike. She went back to their relationship. I'm supposing here. She went back to their relationship, thought through every time it wasn't, a positive feeling, everything where she was like not happy during the course of their relationship, where she wasn't feeling his affection. And she replayed those things in her head and stewed on them. And each time she, change it a little bit, and it would become a little bit more negative, until she had completely rewritten the history of their relationship in her mind as being this horrible, abusive relationship. Like, I didn't like that. Oh, that was bad. Oh, he did this thing. Oh, he hurt me. Well, no, he didn't hurt you. But that's how you're remembering it now. It's almost like gaslighting yourself. And again, this is all my opinion from speculation research and my own personal experiences on the matter. But in my opinion, the only way she could hurt him was a restraining order. And in her mind, she had been hurt by him, so she had to hurt him back. Worse. And having a restraining order really hurts somebody. We've heard Mike talk about not being able to get jobs every time he goes to get a job, his dream job. He went to get it, and there was a restraining order against him. And that showed up in a background check, and he lost out on the dream job. Like, it will always be there. You can't get rid of it. It is incredibly detrimental to someone's success to have that on their record. So that's what she did. And she had zero reason to keep renewing it through the years. She moved away. He wanted nothing to do with her. He didn't try and contact her. He didn't try and do anything. But yet she's continued to renew it for no reason other than to be vengeful. Then moving on in our timeline, she meets Greg Gillespie. Basically, rinse and repeat. She screwed up, though, when she went after Clayton Echard. She set her sights a little too high and thought because she and her mother had a moderately successful podcast that it somehow put her in the same realm as a reality TV star. She completely underestimated the power of a fan base and people coming together, like a large group of people virtually forming from across the globe for a common goal. It is a beautiful thing, but it can also be a scary beast. When you poke that massive beehive, you're gonna get stung over and over and over again until you surrender to the masses on the internet. The power of the internet has been harnessed for both good and evil, unfortunately. Lowe seems to think that this is all negative and everybody's out to get her, throwing out trigger words like cyberbully and cult, when in fact, there's no organizational structure, there's no common goal, there's no mission, and it's simply a group of people who talk online and found that several men had been wronged and these people supported them. There was an interesting court case that people started following. Many people in the group of supporters, and it's not even a group, you can't label them as a group because there's no organization. You could call them supporters, but how have I supported him? I've given my opinion, which may have been in the guy's favor, but I haven't financially supported them. I haven't given them anything to help further their cause. So I have a hard time with anything being classified as any kind of thing other than to say that people who disagree with you are bad. I think that's what she's trying to get at. People on the internet who disagree with me are all these things that she said. There's no cult, there's no group, there's no organization. That's just random people on the internet who disagree with me and don't like me. That's what you need to start saying. Instead of the JFC cult, it's you people, all of you, everybody who disagrees with me. Because the people who followed this case have done so for a variety of reasons. A lot of them have been through emotionally abusive relationships and can relate in some way. Some of them, they feel some kind of connection to this case, and it makes them feel passionate about it. A lot of them have a strong sense of justice and need to see things right. This is a very unique situation. There's a loophole in the law that allowed something bizarre to happen. People are interested in that. Many of these people frequently advocate for small causes that are under-recognized, and men being emotionally abused in a relationship is definitely an under-recognized cause. let the online frenzy do what it's trying to do, and that's put a stop to her abuse, which is horrible and illegal, and bring light to what happened and show the major loophole in the justice system. Like, she should be removed from the entire situation at this point. She needs to drop the lawsuits, and she needs to start doing damage control and stop lashing out. That's my opinion. Since this case, it's like she takes every word that creators say, or anyone on the internet says, as a personal attack, and she lashes out on Medium. It seems to be the only place she feels protected to speak openly, but she shouldn't be speaking at all. She should be working on herself. She's contacted nearly every creator that's mentioned her name and threatened a defamation lawsuit. Her attorney even claimed that he was going to see Dave Neal homeless. But she's defamed multiple people and what she calls the JFC cult as a whole. She's made threats and statements that are far worse than anything that she ever put in one of those TROs that somebody did against her. Her actions far supersede anything she claimed happened to her, or she could prove happened to her, or tried to prove. But worst of all, after all of this, she continues to lie and refuse to accept the reality of her situation. I guess it's understandable. In my experience, people with cluster B personality disorders, which is what BPD falls into with antisocial and narcissistic, generally are in denial about their condition. They believe their own lies. They believe that the world is against them in a lot of situations, and they're the only one that's right. This is why a solid support system is so important. Family should be helping you through this difficult time and getting her the help she needs. But how is Ron Owens helping his daughter? By funding a fraudulent, frivolous paternity suit, and now posting ridiculous comments on Facebook. Literally trying to claim anti-Semitism when he sent his daughter to a Catholic school, celebrates Christmas every year. He hasn't mentioned Jewish anything, unless it fits his narrative, in like 40 years. It's a disgrace to his grandparents, who sailed over on the ship Britannica to start a new life, to allow him to be who he is today. Interestingly, Ron Owens was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2002 and was having symptoms so bad that he needed deep brain stimulation surgery by 2015. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I asked someone who was, and they told me for someone to go that long with Parkinson's, it would be shocking to see them in this good of condition, as Ron was in this video that he posted on Facebook to tell everybody to F off.
Disappoint, guys. It's me.
Apparently Ron is a miracle. He is doing remarkably well, despite all of the health problems he's suffered throughout the years. His doctors must be much better than the ones that treated Laura during her high-risk pregnancy. Till next time, I'll see you soon.